Welcome back, guys. Today we are going to be looking at the Crusader, quite possibly one of my favorite classes because of just how tanky they actually are, and today's set is no different. What we're going to be looking at today is going to be the Armor of Akkhan set. This is the Haedrig Gift that you get for completing Season 10 this season. And if you did not choose to do the Crusaders the first, it's actually a pretty easy set to come by, and it has a lot of pieces in a lot of places. If you pick up that Ring of Grandeur, it makes it even easier to get this stuff. So this set is by no means optimized right now. We're not running best in slot anything, really, except for the set itself. So we're only going to be running at about a Greater Rift 35 today, just to kind of show off the build, show off the principles of it, and just show you what it can actually do. So to first get off in this, we're looking at the two set bonuses to reduce the cost of all abilities by 50% while Akkhan's Champion is active. So this whole set is built around this Akkhan's Champion thing here. You're looking at this as a cooldown of 90 seconds. That's a long time to have cooldown, especially if your whole build's going to be built around this. Luckily for us, the 4-set piece reduces the cooldown of that by 50%, so that drops it immediately down to 45 seconds. Not too bad. That's still a long time considering this only lasts for 20 seconds. So we're having this up for less than half of its cooldown, which is still kind of irritating. So what I've done for a lot of my items here, if you look, this is reduced cooldown by skills by 5%, reduced cooldown by 6%, critical hit damage, reduced cooldown by 7%. So I'm doing as much as I can to try to reduce the cooldowns of everything I've got, which brings my total cooldown reduction to actually almost 39%, which helps out a lot. When you're looking at a 45-second cooldown, you cut that by another third, you're actually starting to look at maybe 30 seconds, so we're about 10 seconds of downtime without our most useful build. And the 6th piece right here, while this is active, we're going to deal a 600% increased damage and take 15% less damage. So it's going to ramp up our survivability, and it's going to ramp up our damage. So some of the other things I'm taking with this, I'm actually going to go ahead and carry the Hammerden, as everybody talks about it. Jace's hammer is going to increase the size of my Blessed Hammers and increase my Blessed Hammer damage. I also have Denial, which each enemy hit by my sweep attack increases the damage of my next sweep attack by 32%. So if you get a good pack going, you're going to actually stack this up to 5 times. So you're going to be doing 150% or 160% extra damage with every sweep attack. So that's a really useful one to have right there. Here I just have some generic stuff in here. This one's actually pretty nice. Warhelm of Crusader reduces the cooldown and increases the damage of my phalanx. So this one right here, I'm bringing the bodyguards. So they come rushing in and they just hit stuff, kind of keeping guys at bay off of me a little bit. So I can use Justice and just fling hammers of Justice. Now the belt I have, whenever Justice hits something, it spawns a Blessed Hammer, which is how it ties in with this hammer a little bit. So we're just going to be throwing hammers. You're just going to see circling hammers constantly while we're running this build. I do have the Gogog of Swiftness on my Convention of Elements here. I'm not seeing a whole lot CDR off of this one like I was really hoping for, so it's not really doing exactly what I was hoping it would do, but it does cool down to a certain extent, so it's helping a little bit. Basically down here in the cube we have Blood Brother, which grants a 20% chance to block attacks. Block attacks inflict 30% less damage, and then after blocking, our next attack inflicts that damage back at them. So it's kind of nice to have just for a little extra survivability and a little extra damage. We are running Depth Diggers because I use this Justice a lot, and the resource generators are dealing an additional 100% damage, which is nice. And then I have the Royal Ring of Grandeur in here just so I can get away with carrying 5 pieces and get the 6-piece set. So all in all, it's not a terrible build. We're going to look at our skills real quick. We are doing Justice with Crack, so it splits off, and every time it's hitting somebody, it's just whipping those hammers around. So we're getting a lot out of that. Inspiring Sweep here. Sweep attack increases my armor by 20%, so I'm just trying to stay alive a little bit extra. I do just have Bombardment here, just whenever I have Champion of Akkhan, or Akkhan's Champion, sorry, Whenever I have that up, I'm going to be doing extra damage, so I just wanted a big AoE ball right there. Like I said, I'm running the bodyguards here. I am using the Laws of Hope and Hopeful Cry rune to try and keep myself alive a little bit better. I summon a shield that absorbs 124,000 damage and reduces all physical damage taken by 25% for the next 5 seconds. Generally speaking, it just keeps my life per second up. And then we're using Hasteful with Akkhan's Champion. This is going to increase my attack speed by 15%. Once again, increasing my damage by 35% just using the ability, 600% for my set. I have Fervor here as a passive. I am using a one-handed weapon, which means my attack speed is ramped up, and this will also increase that cooldown that we're looking for. Fanaticism is going to increase the attack speed yet again of that Punish, Slash, Smite, and Justice. We are using Justice, so that attack speed just keeps stacking. Indestructible, every class has one of these, every class needs to run one of these. If you get popped, you come back to life. That's the big one here. Renewal, since I do have the increased block chance, whenever I successfully block, I gain 17,000 life. Not huge, but if I am blocking a good bit, then it's going to help out a little bit. So what we're going to do right now is we're going to go ahead and dive down. It can run 40 at the build it's at. I don't really like it. It's kind of squishy, kind of rough doing the damage that we need to do. I'm going to go ahead and drop it down to a 38. That seems to be a pretty sweet spot for this one, and it will allow you to get some pretty decent farm in. So we're going to dive down here on the Rift, guys. I'm going to go ahead and let this go. What you're going to see is Akkhan's Champion and a bunch of hammers. So sit back and enjoy, and we will talk about how this went after the build. Okay, guys, so as you can see, like I said, 38 seems to be about the sweet spot. You do get squished a little bit. That, that was okay. My personal best is still up at 40 again, like you saw, but that run went pretty well. What we did see from that, you do have to dodge a little bit to try and get away from stuff because you don't have that quite survivability. Even with 900,000 health, you still get squished out. You still don't have the resistances. So the poison there at the end with the Rift Guardian was really able to tear through me pretty well. But all in all, it's a very solid set. I think it'll be a great one if that's what you got for your Haedrig set. It's a great platform to build off of. I think a lot of sets focus on the Akkhan's champion anyway, so trying to get that cooldown reduction working in your favor, trying to get used to using that ability over and over again, that's going to be a really strong asset to this build. There are, like I said, there are a lot of pieces, so it makes it very easy to mix and match, get all your legendaries in there with it. There's some really neat stuff out here as well. I mean, there's stuff increasing the duration of phalanx. There's all kind of little stuff. Increased damage while wielding two-handed versus one-handed. So there's a lot of items that you can kind of find your own way to play this set and still be fairly successful at a moderate greater rift level. So once again, we'll start working on some of these guys' builds. We'll try to get the Crusader up to 70 as well. We've now done the Witch Doctor. We've shown a 70 build. We've done the Demon Hunter. We've shown a 70 build. So now we'll try and get the Crusader up to a 70 build. And I started a monk today who's almost level 70. So he'll be able to start working on some of his sets as well. We'll first start, as always, with the Haedrig set for him. We'll go ahead and do the highlight reel for that one. And then we'll go ahead and take it from there. We do stream these live. A lot of my farming stuff gets streamed live every day, Tuesday through Friday from 10 a.m. Eastern Time. That's United States Eastern Time. Till about 1, sometimes a little later in the afternoon. Have a lot of active people in the chat, so if you have any questions, you can ask them. If I'm not able to answer it, they certainly will be. We have multiplayer stuff that we do at the end of the streams, and on Fridays we get in there and do some multiplayer. So if you're having trouble finding equipment, go ahead and join us there, and you can dive into some of these rifts. We're going to be doing some farming runs that way because we all have some pretty strong characters out there. So all in all, I really appreciate your guys' support. This has been an incredible experience so far. I look forward to continuing it with you. I hope you enjoyed this video, and if you did and you haven't already, go ahead and hit that like button for me. Let me know that you like it. Leave a comment if you have some questions. Hit that subscribe button and click on that little bell, and it'll let you know when I'm going live every day. I appreciate it, guys. You have a fantastic day.